5 years ago, in Mosul, Afghanistan, where we see many American soldiers who were fighting against Taliban soldiers. American soldiers kill many of their enemies here, but the number of Taliban soldiers was very high, due to which, American soldiers lose this battle and all their soldiers are killed here. In this war, an American soldier named Jack survives. He tries to save his captain Tom, who is badly injured. After some time, a backup team comes here which saves them and takes them away from here. After this, we are shown the scene of the present time. Here we see Jack, who is retired from the military, and now works as a mechanic at an auto shop. This shop belongs to Earl, who used to be a member of a gang, but now he has given up all his wrongdoings and happily runs his own shop. After finishing all his work, Jack comes back to his home. Here we see Jack's wife and one of his sons. Jack loves his family very much, and that is why he works so hard. The next day, when Jack comes to the shop, he sees some Mexican gangsters who had come to collect money from Earl. Gang leader Fresh talks to Jack politely, and he asks his men to beat Jack, but Jack is a retired soldier and he beats everyone with his excellent skills. Seeing this, Fresh gets very angry and he starts leaving from here with his men, but before leaving, he threatens Jack and says that I will take my revenge. After leaving the gangsters, Jack asks Earl who they were and why they came here. Earl tells that earlier I used to be like them, but my luck was good that I left them. Now to stay I have a house that I can call my own, but they always come here to bother me. Jack says that I have fought with them and I think that they will definitely chase me. Hearing this, Earl says that do not be afraid, because I am with you, and they cannot do anything to you. Now after finishing all the work, Jack comes back to his house. Outside the house, he sees Fresh, who tells him that he has taken his revenge and runs away from here. Jack quickly comes inside the house. Here he learns that Fresh has killed his family to take revenge. Jack cries a lot due to the death of his wife and son, because today everything is over for him. After some time, officers come here. They interrogate Jack, but Jack does not tell them anything. He gets angry and leaves with his car to find Fresh. After wandering for some time, he finally sees Fresh's car, which was parked outside a club. Jack was angry and he comes inside the club. He kills all Fresh's men one by one. Fresh gets scared after seeing all the things. He wanted to tell something to Jack, but Jack does not listen to him and he kills him. Jack had murdered some people, due to which he has been sentenced to life imprisonment and is serving his sentence in jail. A few months later, Tom comes to meet Jack in jail. He says, I can help you and get you released from jail. Hearing this, Jack thanks him, but he does not want to leave the jail, because now without his family there is no purpose in his life. After that, he receives an unexpected visitor named Ramsey, who runs a private task force. Jake quickly dismisses him before he gets the chance to explain himself. That night, some of masked men invade his cell and kidnap him. Moments later, Ramsey reveals himself and his men responsible for taking him. He tells him he's been watching him for a long time and is impressed by his record. He then asks him to choose whether to rot in prison or live a new life by joining his unit. After careful thought, Jake decides to live as a hero again by working under a secret government agency called Section 8. In Washington, D.C., Ramsey formally introduces Elias, Ajax, Brunner, and Muller and briefs him about what they do. Jake secretly takes a pen from a nearby desk before he gets led into another room. Ramsey further explains that his real identity has been declared deceased and he will be given a new alias and backstory. When Ramsey leaves, the team puts him through the initiation process. Ajax starts to provoke him by stirring up a fight with him. Jake is initially reluctant but eventually fights back and almost stabs his eye with the pen. But suddenly, a memory of his family flashes in his mind, which gives him time to calm down. Soon Jake gets sent on his first mission with Muller. She briefs him on his first target, Alejandro Castillo, a defense contractor that is also a black market weapon dealer. She tells him that the job is to retrieve a schematic file and eliminate Alejandro before he sells them to the Russians. Upon arriving in Mexico, they find Castillo in a warehouse, where he meets with Johnny, a Russian negotiator, to make the exchange. While they engage in a conversation, Jake sneaks into the place and discreetly takes out a guard. The noise catches their attention, which turns them against each other. Their misunderstanding escalates into shooting, and Jake takes advantage of it by sneakily killing any survivors. He then takes down an injured Castillo, takes the files, and leaves, sparing 2 innocent women. Upon returning to their base, Ramsey reprimands him for compromising the integrity of their mission by leaving survivors. He then threatens to send him back to prison if he doesn't comply. Jake is then dismissed, and Muller gives an evaluation of his performance. She commends him, but Ramsey is unsatisfied with it. The next day, Locke swiftly infiltrates a hotel with the mission of eliminating a target who knows Ramsey. The man tries to bribe him, but it doesn't sway him, so he still gets killed. On his way out, the guards suspect him and chase after him. He easily overpowers the authorities and gets away in a stolen car. Meanwhile, Jake moves into a new house. He finds a picture of his time in Afghanistan, which reminds him of a conversation he had with Mason. Jake blames himself for getting him injured, but Mason shares some wise words to ease his guilt. Later, Muller finds Jake in a pub, where they bond over drinks. He then asks her about Ramsey, but she claims she doesn't know anything. So he asks for her story. She tells him that she used to be in the army, but got reprimanded for punching her commanding officer. Few days later, Ramsey briefs them on their new mission. The target is a state senator named Jim Graham. The objectives are to retrieve digital information from a sensitive case and to eliminate the target. He assigns Mueller to recover the files while Jake is on bird watch, and the rest are for reinforcements. He makes it clear that the security will be strict, so they should expect to fight back. Later they arrive in California disguised as landscapers. Mueller takes down the guards in the room, but inevitably alarms the security, which compromises the mission. With their cover blown, Jake chases after Graham while Mueller takes care of the files. Jake eventually corners Graham but hesitates when he reasons he has a family. Unfortunately, Ajax catches up to them and immediately eliminates Graham. That night, Jake is affected by the words of Graham and can't help but remember his wife. But because of his hesitation, he is now a target of Section 8. We see some masked men invade his home to hunt him down, but luckily he escapes. He then goes to see Mason, and they talk about Section 8. Mason clarifies that if he is their fugitive, he is in serious trouble. So Jake asks for help to lend him money and a gun to escape. Upon returning to Riverside, Jake finds out from his son's best friend that before his family's murder, Fresh was seen with people in suits. But before he can get any more information, Locke intervenes to kill him. Jake narrowly escapes as Locke shoots every person in his way, including the authorities. Locke then calls Ramsey and tells him that he lost Jake, but Ramsey provokes him, which challenges him more to find Jake. That same day, the Section 8 unit finds Jake at Earl's shop. Jake fiercely fights for his life against Elias and Bruner and successfully takes them down. However, Ajax is a strong opponent as he almost gets the upper hand. Jake almost gets stabbed. Luckily, Mueller arrives and shoots Ajax dead. After the fight, Earl hands Jake the keys to a car and tells him to leave before the police arrive. In the car, Mueller and Jake argue about not trusting each other. He then asks Ramsey's whereabouts to end it once and for all. They go to Montana, where Ramsey is supposed to meet with some congressmen. The two try to sneak into the cabin, but Jake gets knocked out. Eventually, he wakes up bound to a chair with Ramsey in front of him and Mueller beside him. Ramsey reveals that this was all a trap and that they prepared a surprise for him. The door opens as Tom enters the room. Jake is confused by his sudden appearance, but his questions are soon answered because they reveal that they are responsible for killing his family, since they see his family as a waste of his talent. After giving Ramsey the money, Tom excuses himself while Mueller checks the money. He then sneaks back to the room and frees Jake. He tells him the truth that he was contracted to take down Section 8. The alarm then goes off, alerting Ramsey's men. Despite being outnumbered, the strong duo quickly overthrows them. Once they cornered Ramsey, Jake made it clear to them that he wanted to see him die. Ramsey then tries to deceive him by turning him against Tom, but he doesn't buy it. As Mueller sneaks up to shoot Jake, Tom takes a bullet for him and dies. Taking the chance, Ramsey flees while Mueller takes down Jake. From the start, she seems to get the upper hand, but after a brief struggle, Jake quickly turns the odds in his favor, instantly killing her. He then chases after Ramsey, and Ramsey eventually crashes into an oncoming car. Jake walks over to the wreck, where an injured Ramsey insults him for hesitating. Before he can finish talking, Jake shoots him. Jake then meets with attorney General Savoy, where Savoy offers him a job and a clean slate. He also tells him that Tom worked for them, but Jake declines the offer, saying that he has nothing left to fight for. Savoy understands but offers him his card anyway. Jake then goes home to his house, where Locke waits for him. He intends to finish the job even without Ramsey, so they get into an intense fight. Although Locke initially gets the upper hand, Jake eventually gets the gun and eliminates Locke. The movie ends with Jake sending a voice message to Earl, thanking him for saving his life just as his father saved him. The message ends with Earl being emotional and Jake riding a bus, where he calls Savoy, who welcomes him to Section 9. And the movie end here. Thanks so much for watching. Let us know your thoughts on the film in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, please like it and also watch some of our other videos. And before you go, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more movie recaps.